Hi students, welcome to DPR Maths. In this session, let us explain the concept of ratio proportion. The two ratio of a ratio of a ratio of a ratio and so on. A ratio of given numbers is again a ratio. That means if we have a ratio of given numbers and if we find a ratio of that ratio, obtained ratio will be act as the ratio of given values. And if we find again the ratio of obtained ratio, the obtained ratio will be act as ratio of original values. Let us explain this through an example. Okay, for that let us take numbers 72, 120 and next 180 are the given numbers. Okay, let us find out some ratios for these numbers. For that let us divide these numbers by 2. Then you will get 36, 60 and next 90. It is a ratio of given numbers. And let us find another ratio of these values only. For that let us divide these values by 3. Okay, then we'll get 24, next 40 and 60 is a ratio of those values only. And let us find out another ratio of these values. For that let us divide those values by 4. Then we will get 18 is to 30 is to 45 is a ratio of given numbers. And let us find out another ratio of these values only. Okay, for that let us divide given values by 6. Then we will get 12, 20 and next 30. Okay, 30. So it is a ratio. And let us find out another ratio of these values. Okay, so let us divide these values by 12. Then we'll get 6 is to 10 is to 15 is a ratio. Now we have different ratios of given values. Okay, now let us find out a ratio of this ratio. A ratio of this ratio. Okay, so for that let us divide these values by 2. Then you will get 18 is to 30 is to 45. Okay, you can observe that the values here are equal to already values in another ratio. Okay, and let us find out another ratio of this ratio. Another ratio of this ratio. For that let us divide these values by 3. Then we will get 6 is to 10 is to 15. Okay, 15. So you can observe that this ratio, values in this ratio are equal to already existed ratio. Okay, so you can observe that we found a ratio and again we found ratio of already existed ratio, and obtained ratio will be equal to one of the ratio, and again we found ratio of ratio obtained in second step. Okay, and we got a ratio equal to another ratio. And if you perform any number of calculations, you will get a ratio of these numbers only. These numbers only. Okay. And next, again observe here. Here we got, okay, we have a ratio of these values. This one is a ratio of these values. And if you found another ratio of this one, okay, for that let us divide these values by 2. Then you will have 12 is to 20 is to 30. Observe that this one is equal to already existed ratio. And find out another, again find out the ratio of this one. For that let us divide this ratio by 2. We will get 6 is to 10 is to 15. Observe that. So this values included in this ratio are equal to already existed ratio. That means, okay, if you have a ratio of given values, and if you found ratio of this ratio, obtained will be act as one of the ratio of original values. And again, if you found the ratio of this one, obtained ratio will be act as one of the ratio of original values. And if you found another ratio of this ratio, then again obtained will be act as another ratio of, okay, original values. If you perform any number of times, obtained ratios will be act as ratio of original values. This will be very useful in solving different problems in ratio and proportion topic. Okay, thank you.